It's just kind of weird. So it was when I was really young, and my parents actually called, like, we got Jehovah's Witnesses sent to my house after this.
But you're Jewish?
No. Yeah, this was back when I was living in Florida. So I moved here like 10 years ago. But I don't remember how old I was, but I was really young. And in our house, we just moved into like a house. My parents had me a year after being married, so newlyweds. And I would have this like, and I don't even know if you can call it a dream, because to me, like, it was a very like, this happened to me experience. So it was like one of those weird things. So like, I don't even know if you can call it a dream, but I was staying in this room, one of like our bedrooms, my bedroom, and I would like see this like owl would like come into my room, and it would like sit, it would like sit on my window, and it would just be in the room on the window and like staring at me and like all this different stuff. And like I can still like describe to you like all the details, like I can literally picture it right now. It's like I'm describing it. I had this like wooden bed set, which my brother still has this day because he took it, and it had like these like night and moon like blankets and everything, and and like it was like up in the corner, and then we had like these like regular like white blinds kind of like over our windows, and it would like literally just be like in like physically in the room, not just like in the window, like physically in the room, and like kind of like perched on the window. So it was like a brown owl, like, which is like larger eyes, I guess, you like kind of more barn owl-esque. Of course, like young, would tell my parents about it and like describe it to them like in detail, like repeated times, because it kept visiting me. And I would tell my parents like in detail this whole thing, and like it was one of those where my parents were not like super religious, but at the same time my parents are like very like recognizing of like spiritual experiences and like things like that. And so when I was like a young kid, like literally telling them this exact same story, they were like, this is interesting, like this is some kind of experience, this is someone like visiting you, this is something, is like kind of the vibes my parents got from it. Because to them, they're like, my story never changed. Like I'm a kid telling them the exact same details, the exact same things, like everything was lining up, and they're like, what 5-year-old or whatever is gonna be telling you the exact same like occurrence, you know? And they actually ended up contacting the old people, like the people who used to live there, and were like, did you guys have any like spiritual experiences in this house, like whatever? Well, apparently they were Jehovah's Witness, and they're like, fuck no, and they literally like sent a whole bunch of like priests to our house to like, for like, my parents said for like the next year they would get random visits from like different like priests and like Jehovah's Witnesses who were like, have you found God? I mean, to me, like, it never scared me. I also wasn't a kid that got scared very often. Like when we moved to North Carolina, at first we were in an apartment, but after about a year we moved into a house, and we used to live, if you're familiar, in downtown Cary, which it's like a historic, I guess you could say, Cary is, though it's like pretty gentrified now. So we moved there, and we were renting this house, and it was actually, my backyard was basically a cemetery, which is actually the oldest cemetery in Cary. And yeah, and so we had like a small backyard, which we still had like our animals and stuff, but like my main like playing backyard was like the cemetery. And so like growing up, like those things just like never really bothered me. Like I was very much a very like spiritual kid. Like I had all of these like, I don't know, like instances like the owl. There's other things with like this recurring thing of like a butterfly, like all these different things I had growing up, like experiences, and that like my parents were very in tune with me with that, and I just really like wasn't fearful of these things. So to me, if I were to like see that like the owl, if it were to come visit me or something again, like, which it hasn't in years, like since we've left, you know, that house, like if it were, I don't think it wouldn't scare me in any way. I wouldn't feel like anxious from it, because I don't know, I haven't necessarily like processed and turned that into a meaning per se, like that situation, be like, oh, this ancestor visited me, or this was like, I don't know what that was per se, other than it was something I experienced. So like if it happened again, I feel like at this age I'd like be more curious, if anything, because I'd wonder like, okay, like what details am I seeing now? Like what is this? What entity is here with me? Like what's happening? Yeah.